Yes, sir. Life is great as usual. We give thanks.
That's a serious thing. We are here again, Ballhead and the Dread Podcast. We give thanks for everyone who's been tuning in. Do remember, check out Far Right EP, Disrupting the Status Quo. Also, you don't want to miss Full Reasoning from the One, Bounty Killer, available right now. Reasoning from the One, Styles P, hip hop legend, member of the legendary group Deluxe. Also, we have NFL player Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah from the Cleveland Browns, which is an IRA reason that you don't want to miss. All right, what we're reasoning about today?
Well, today we are reasoning about the concept of realism versus idealism, because realize a lot of people shift between the two of the concept them, and there's always been some debate about about are you a realist or are you an idealist. So I feel like a reason like this, you really kind of put something into perspective, show certain things from our view, and it's not. I don't feel like this can be one of them reasons that we stir debate. But then again, I would be wrong. I could be wrong. I would just show it from our perspective, and I feel like it's a continuation. There's always a continuation when it comes to a reason of such. As I say.
No,
So we can talk about the pros and the cons and certain different things of that. You know?
I'll start off all right, and I'll just speak about my own self and use myself as an example. There was one time in my journey where I was dealing with idealism, in a sense, right? And I believe I was living my life with the expectation of what I believe the world should be versus what the world is. And I think that's what people struggle with. And it seems that in regards to the idealist approach or idealism is that it's almost a source of escapism away from the realities of the world in which we live. We live in a harsh, unpredictable, callous world, right? But within that chaos, some would say there is beauty, there is joy, and there's moments that we have to embrace and cherish. But this idealism thing is very dangerous because you're not dealing with the situation, whether it's your interpretation of your environment or even with your own life. You know, so I just feel like me personally, I'm not even gonna say other people. I'm gonna say me personally. I know that I've grown tremendously from dealing with the realities of life versus my view of how life should be. I do have a vision, and I want to be clear. When I mean how life should be now for your own personal journey, yes, because you have a sense of control in regards to your growth. But I'm talking about the outer world. There is an acceptance in regards to certain things. And I just think that this ties back in the relationship, conversation we had earlier in regards to relationships where when you accept people for who they are, being realistic versus what you believe they should be, I believe things are much easier, right? That's a example of idealism versus realism. I think everyone could understand and relate to. Human relationships, right? You have a person who behaves in a certain way for a duration of time, and deep in your heart, you're still waiting for this person to change, not accepting that this is how the person is in their true nature. I think we spoke about this in the parenting thing, maybe. I know we did mention it, right? But this would be an example of this is the real situation. Instead of accepting the person in their true state, we have this fantasy of what the person should be. And I think is this where this idealism and realism becomes a problem, you know, how the world operates, how functions of our system operate. Once you learn, it's very disheartening for people when they truly learn how the system operates, you know, and like, I think church is the heights of idealism or religion in a sense, you know, it's a fantasy world in the sense that I wish things were this way, but you can't execute and operate properly within the system thinking it should be this way instead of understanding this is how the system is and this is how I need to operate to make it work, you know?
I have a question for there. I know that you say that. So
Yeah.
that you feel like any particular human can ever be a pure idealist or be a pure realist?
No. I think that we all bend reality to a certain aspect. And I think that it's funny you mentioned that because me and Roberta were speaking about this. We all have a distorted view of reality based on our mental space at the time and our physical space at the time. So for instance, now you can be in a place in your life where things are going real good and you may be comfortable with certain things. And because of that experience, the totality of yourself, you'll have a certain perspective of certain things. You get what I'm saying? So it's like the spot that you're in, you just can't see certain things. But then now on the flip side, now if you're bogged down and stressed out, you'll start to see things a little distorted. You get what I'm saying? So it's kind of a tricky thing. I think where you are mentally, I don't think it could be a absolute experience. I don't think. I think they always fuse, but I think we need to be more over on the real side as much as we can to function in life. You know, that when we're too much on the other side of and I don't think a balance could work. I think you literally have to be more on the real side to function in life. But when you're too over to the idealistic side, it kind of, if we're dealing with progress now, it definitely stunts your progress because you're not executing and operating in a realistic environment. Far as like you're in virtual reality in a sense, and you're trying to operate in virtual reality when you're actually in the real world. And it's a different strategy to get through both places, you know?
A reality. That's why I ask the question into, because I feel like at this at the basis, at the reasoning to, you know. That kind of like the foundation of the reason, because I realize a lot of people, when you think about the whole concept of idealism, which is more like, well, ones that say a fantasy, anything that's kind of a metaphysical nature, then out of this world experience within the timing, and then reality now is being practical, things where take place within your time and within your space, so to speak. I feel like in a certain instance, there can be a balance, but it depends on the individual perspective of how them look upon life. For instance, and there's levels to it too, you know. It's not like there's levels to it. So if there's a person where, for example, you already achieve a whole leap in a life, and you realize, say the idealist perspective in the whole progress we are trying to make, it serve a purpose, then you have to have certain form of idealism in your whole workbook or in your whole structure. But nonetheless, you have the reality of which part the whole project are going to be upon. But the fact say you did have some idealism means that you as a person, we know say, yo, even if you can't see the way you say to yourself, say, you know, say, the way you go carve, but me just need, but on a realistic side now, me need to put them particular implementations into place. And once I put them things into place, then me have to just make the energy kind of flow and lead me up towards the success that we want to achieve. So it depends on a whole heap of different things. But in the case, I'm saying most people use it now, is them basically flip it around. And that's now you see the problem really occurring in most people's life, because every single thing is based on a fantasy. Every single thing is based on an outward capacity in the sense where them have, you see the savior complex take place now most people's life, as they say, even with the church and the whole religion thing. And it's like, okay, God will provide, but how them now have one touch of reality towards that we can help themselves elevate. So this now it become like a whole illusion type of mentality now, where idealism take over. I'm realizing it's a majority of people practice idealism as opposed to being realist. And then in other instances now with them be realist, it's more from a negative angle and not realistic in a sense where, all right, we can see things really as strive, and we can say, all right, make we put in them application. Because you always hear about knowledge is power, you know. But me think that is incomplete, you know. Knowledge with application is power, you know. Because enough people really do have the knowledge, but them have the knowledge so much that them gone straight over to the idealist concept and realize when you really apply the knowledge now, that's what a realist really do. So I them think that, come so long them reasoning, so long and think to yourself like every single day I meditate, you know. That's why the topic is so mind blowing to, you know, as simple as it want to be.
A serious thing, and maybe we should start subbing out the word delusional for idealists in our reality, you know, because as you said before, if the idealistic thought is not mixed with reality, coupled with application / action, coupled with consistency for it, you get what I'm saying? So we can't leave these things in kind of individual compartments. They all have to gel together to make this thing work. And I think that the reason that a person can, all right, you remember earlier we were talking about like everything has to flow in regards to your body, your mind, and all that. If you had, and we want to clarify success. When we refer to as success, we're not talking about actual finance. We're talking about the attainment of goals, because that's the true definition of success. I think in our society, once we hear success, we default to money, and we're not referring to that. You know, we're talking about, if the goal is money, that's the goal, but we're talking about achieving a goal in any aspect of your life. When a person has that experience, I think they have more experience keeping a proper balance of idealistic perspective and reality, because you need the idealism to have vision, to be a trailblazer, because you're basically envisioning something, but their vision is supported by action. And what you're talking about now is just an absolute vision with no action, no structure, no skill. It's just an empty vision. And I just want to be clear. I hope people understand what we're saying. Like, it's not the fact that you can't have vision. It's not the fact that you can see things that are not in front of you. You can envision things. You can see things playing out in a positive way. But a lot of times there's no action. And at that point, it's just a dream. It's just a fantasy world. You know, people have these bright ideas and it's just, it's a dream. And it's like, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about actually implementation and working towards something. Farai always also said something brilliant, and I hope you guys heard it properly, where he said on the flip side now, when we delve in, or when people delve into the realistic part, it's almost like a depressive part, and it's a very negative aspect. But there can be negative aspects, but you can see, why can't we accept negative aspects about things and positive? Why does it have to be absolute negative? You get what I'm saying? So it's like, I just want to see if I can come up with a quick example. All right, here we go. Me and my brother were reasoning. We did a little short clip in there, but we were reasoning about manhood and capitalism, right? Now, yes, the system is set away. We're aware of that, right? And that's a negative. But it's not an absolute negative, because there are opportunities for you. Yeah, you may have to work harder. Yeah, things are stacked against you, but there are opportunities. So I can't look at the system and throw up my hands and say, oh, trying to fight down the black man, it's over, Farai, you know? No, that can't work, because at that point, when you do that, Farai, you know what that is? That's a cop-out at the end of the day. It's a cop-out. You're using this resistance or this negative thing, or this negative interpretation of the realness, a negative interpretation of realness, as something just to make you quit. And I don't think that's the proper approach. We can acknowledge that there are wrongs. We can acknowledge that there are struggles. We can acknowledge that there are things that, you know, hurt us. But it's not a vibe where it's just like, oh, it's over and that's it. How can we navigate those things? We're being real. We say, yo, all right, this road has a lot of twists and turns and ups and downs. That don't mean we can't make the stride, far right. And I think that's where the thing gets distorted. Now, in defense of people, because people love saying we judgmental and this and that, right? In defense of people, I will say, when you've been consistently on the idealistic side, no accountability for yourself, you haven't had an example of someone actually having grit, going towards something, that lack of love, self-worth, self-confidence. Yes, that is a foreign concept for you to look at something and say, you know what? There are obstacles here and I can conquer it, versus there are obstacles here and that's it for me. It's just all a perspective. Because there are obstacles for both people. But one person say the obstacle is there for, all right, we about to twist and turn and figure this thing out, and the next person say, yo, it's an obstacle course. We can't get through it. That's a personal decision, and you have to own that. You could blame whoever you want to blame, but you have to own that at some point in your life, that you didn't even try to go through the obstacle. And that's the wild part, all right? A lot of people don't even go in the obstacle because they actually got in the course. They can actually figure it out if they get in there. They don't even go in the course. And what they do now,
No, go do that.
All right. So what happens a lot of times on the idealistic side is that, not even for Christians though. Yes, we use Christians as an example because a lot of people grow up with. Even though you may not have went to church, you still have a Christian mindset. You still have a savior complex. What they do now is that if things don't work out, it wasn't meant to be. There's two ways to look at this. This wasn't meant to be a dangerous thing. It's two ways to look at it. Yeah, it wasn't meant to be in regards to the universe didn't want to happen and I'm not doing anything else. Like, it's not for me to even try anything else versus maybe this particular thing didn't work out that way, but I'm still trying, I'm still learning, I'm still applying. I've taken all the lessons I could from this experience. Yes, I didn't have the outcome that I wanted, right? But that's not deterring me from trying again. I took all the information, all the data. You a data man, right? I took all the data, I analyzed it, I took all the information, and I reapply it. That's the whole game. Like a man hustling, he just always flipping. You need to flip this information and experiences and just keep reapplying it and keep reapplying it. Because everything you learn from here, you apply here. Everything from where you apply there. If you're a progressive person and you're out here hustling, doing your thing. And this is just not a pursuit of occupation. This is like as a human being trying to grow. You're trying to grow, you're trying to conquer certain things. Yeah, you're doing it, you mess up, you figure out what's your triggers, what's this and that, and you reapply it. And I think that's the difference in regards to the approaches. There's a healthy approach where you can have, you can't be all the way on the idealistic part, but I'm talking about more observant. I think reality is so disheartening for people that they don't even want to acknowledge it. You know, and I'll give you one more example, Farai, and jump in whenever you're ready. Finances. Farai, you know how much people I know never look at their money and never look at their credit. Like, they don't acknowledge it, bro. That is just that you just gave up. Like, they say, yo, I'm not even going to look at my credit card statement. Like, I'm not going to look at it. Instead of acknowledging it, just instead of looking at it and say, all right, this hurts, bro. You know, I'm kind of behind, but the healthy approach would be, what can I do to fix this? And I use the credit card because hopefully people can relate to that. But that's just a universal thing where we just don't want to acknowledge stuff. We just leave it, and it just gets worse and worse and worse. There's so many aspects of your life you just leave. You don't want to deal with it. You know, like, I'm not gonna go to the doctor. I'm not going to try to do this. I'm not going to, you just leave stuff. And you live your life.
I had the name of hoping.
You end up living your life in denial. And that's just like, it's like a walk. The system is really just, you just gave up for it. All the power inside of you, all that vigor, all that energy, all that life, the system has sucked it out of you. And I don't know, you can blame who you want to blame, fire, but the fire, what the gang say, don't let nobody burn out your fire and ride, not they ride, yeah?
But them
didn't have a job to do, yeah? And he have to fulfill his mission.
You see, enough people not overstand, say, them put the balance of them life in a hope. Cause I really hope everything rally around and, you know, say, I hope that this will take place, I hope that will take place, but you have to realize that things where them actually can control as well there, say, but the fact say hope plays so much part in a people life, it really control the fact say them now win to a certain extent, because you know when you think about idealism, right? I will start break it down when we reach to the word ideal, right? If ideal is like the ultimate, the superior, the things them do like the quintessential, whatever things we know say is a perfect state. But if we even break it down further, it got to ideal come from idea. And the idea is merely a thought or a concept where you conjure in your head. So if you have an idea, you conjure the idea there in your head. Remember, say every single thing where it take place in a reality, that simply means realism is the finished product of idealism then. If we sit down and meditate in a fire, because every single thing have to come from an idea, will come from the mind. And then once it comes from the mind and it applied in the right way, or things take place within society, good or bad, which is the reality, that good or bad come from an idea in somebody's mind. So idealism is merely like a starter in a race, in a relay, if I think about a relay, and then the realism is the finished product now. We are thinking about now, okay, who came first, who came second, who came third. So it's just the way how people structure the whole concept of idealism or realism where really determine the outcome of them life, you know. Enough people don't realize that perspective is a really real thing in a fire. Like the way how you look upon life, it determines which part you go, or if you stop, and sometimes, as weird as it might seem, your perspective is a thing where can determine how the reality shape for you, because in a some way our farm, we shape our own reality and we not oversit it. Because reality not just happens. So, sometimes some man say some situations where, first you have to ask yourself all of these things. Because remember, as we say, idealism come from idea. And if you think idealistic all the time, and you not change over to reality, and then bam, you suddenly say, all right, once, because you live in a reality, So it's either your brain just not go there, which is definitely a bad thing for you, but regardless of what, reality, realism, or anything where anybody would want to call it, is the now, here, the present. Seeing? So if we are dealing with the present, seeing, and the present itself now, it's something we know we can't go around, right? And the idealism is just where we have to use to shape or mold that. But best believe so that reality where we in a right now, we have to play a particular role in that, and it's not just all the destiny where people like to tell us, oh, it's just destiny or whatever. Yeah, you can't believe that to a certain extent, as I say, because there's never a human being can never be a pure idealist or a pure realist in a sense. They need something to drive them and motivate them further on. In fact, something where them not overstand. And that's the real concept why God come in the mix, because most people overstand say the concept of God is something where it's just human beings that try to overstand the earth as it is, the reality where them inner. So comes the concept of God even take place none at all, Cause if we want to sum up God across all religions, it's just the unknown where human beings are trying to find out, so them put different stories and different methods and different allegories to sum up the unknown. So human beings need to understand so we can shape reality, but how do we shape our reality? It stems from the ideas that come from our brain. These ideas will come from our brain. What do we do with these ideas? Do we apply these ideas to the here, now, and hope in say, and then we can come with the hope afterwards, which is the ideal part to say, all right, say, my brain, me say this thing I go towards that particular levels, and that's where the idealism take place to build up on the reality where you have, which it start from the ideal again, because remember, you have to intertwine both of them in it. It's not like say where we say both of them involved in a human being's life. It's not like you just start one and you just pick up the reality and you finish with the ideal, It have to complement each other. But for sure, one thing me know is that purely, like, if you have mostly idealism in a situation, it's not going to complement the reality. And no matter which situation or which examples you want to use, that idealism is not going to complement the reality. So we have to be very, very careful of that. As I say, it's a reasoning same way, just like even the reasoning. Enough people might hear the reasoning and they might look over it or hear one particular line where them not like, and then I'm going to say, them are going to just emphasize on that or say, oh, this is why that or that. But remember again, it's just the ideal really shape that, because what in a your brain or what type of trigger in a your brain that spark the idea that this is the whole point of the reasoning. You see what I say? So enough time people never understand see and no, it shape your reality now in a sense where it might show you off, it might break your vibes from the channel, or it might break your vibes from tuning into the podcast. So it's just a live example there, And that's what I show enough once is the ideas them when in your brain. It shape your reality and mold your reality, but you have to understand so there's a balance between two where we need to find the right space. But don't you ever make idealism take over your life to the way where you lose touch of reality, because when you lose touch of reality, gone and one of the hardest things to find back when you lose touch of reality, because everything is a wish and wonder and oh and them thing, and then you start catch yourself now, you realize you're far behind.
Right, a couple of things I want to touch on. First off, most people, unfortunately, are not in tune to reality, right? For whatever reason, they're not in tune to reality. Their brain is not fully processing the reality in which they live. Another part is I want to clear up earlier, I should have said it earlier. There can be a negative part of the real, and like either fully on either side can be destructive, because you have an idealistic part where I guess people walk around where there's no bad. You ever saw that one? Where it's like no bad,
no bad, no.
So I just wanted to acknowledge that one. Then you have the other side where everything is bad. So we have to watch about those extremes where you're not dealing with reality. I wanted to elaborate what you said on in regards to, I think it would be the concept of like predestination or this and that. I look at it as a cop-out. I feel that, regardless of what cards you were given in life, you could change them. And I want to be clear, though. I want to be clear. We have a skewed perspective because we're in this society and we have so many opportunities. So I know this is a universal law. I just want to be clear. I just think it's easier to do it in this society and this environment, because in other countries with less opportunities, I really doubt you'll be able to achieve as much as you can in America. Not saying anyone can't. You may have that unique individual that can, but the amount of people that do certain stuff here, I think it's definitely based on the society and time that you're in. Because yes, there's a high level of mind control in America, which is very destructive, right? But at the same token, it's not like you have a militia walking through your house taking your things. You get what I'm saying? So it's kind of like I always want to keep that in perspective in regards to the environment that we're in. Not sure this is a universal concept I'm going to present. But if you live in a society that has some type of stability, right? You can change the cards that you're given. I think this whole predestination thing was implemented for a form of control, and people really tap into it for no accountability in a sense, because it's like, well, this is my life. And I want to be clear when we're talking about this. We're not talking about like money. I just want the basis is not money, right? Because to a certain extent, America is like a caste system. It's very rare that you would exceed, you would get out of the economic situation of your parents. We are talking about as a human being, gifts, spiritual growth, right? You can develop your skills. You can grow as a person. You can grow in your talents. You generally can. If you have a certain type of temperament and disposition, you can change it if you work on it. And that's just a reality of the thing. It's like a journey. You have to work and struggle with it. You can see yourself. I have done it. Listen, from when I was younger, I can share this. I'm going to keep it real with you. And this is, as church, they would say this is testimony, right? Right? So this is my testimony on the podcast. When I was younger, I saw myself as a certain type of man, yeah. And when I tell you that I am like 99% there far in regards to how I look, how I move, how my body looks, how I interact with people, things I accomplish. You ever see certain people they move a certain way? Man own a barbershop, man own a car wash, you have a restaurant, family nice, wife nice, you have kids. So I used to look at certain things like that, and I can say that it hasn't been an easy journey, but I had to envision and I just worked on it, and it really manifests, and it's the fact that I stuck to the vision and I worked on it. Now you can say this is a unique experience, but I know other people who have done the same thing. The problem we run into, this don't got nothing to do with money, I'm talking about the type of person that I am. What happens is that timestamp we put on stuff here. We can't use man's time on your journey when you're doing something. You just need that consistency of working on yourself on that daily aspect. Yeah, you have your slip ups. It is what it is. You get up and you bounce back and you keep working. Most people don't see themselves doing any good. They don't see themselves on a heights. So that's the first problem. They themselves don't see themselves in a positive light. They don't see themselves with good attributes. Or they see themselves as some king and some queen and go way out the sky to something on TV. And it's usually do with money and praise from others. But they don't see themselves developing their gifts and having certain little traits to them and certain vibes. And I think that's what we need to clarify, because when people envision themselves, they go to the extreme. And I think that's done out of lack of confidence. So when a person sees themselves in the future, it's like you're a billionaire or something. So how you going to go from nothing to a billionaire? You can't read. You get what I'm saying? And it's not to criticize people that can't read, but it's not like you can't read and you're working on reading. You're just sitting there. You're just literally sitting there thinking with this vision. As far as I said earlier, you had a vision, but there's no action towards it. There's no consistency. You can't go work on things one day and expect for no big change. This thing gotta be for years and decades. That's why you need that patience and work on yourself. And I want to be clear, fire. It's not no money thing we talking about. I just want to be clear. And it's not we're not fighting against money. Obviously, we need money, but the goal isn't a money vibe. I'm talking about you growing as a person. You growing in your spiritual gifts you want to say, or whatever gifts you have, and just the type of being a solid human being, being a good person, just trying to be a good person.
You know, so they mentioned something pivotal where we can't make it run past. They mentioned the key thing, you know. To TV, we can't talk about the concept of idealism versus the concept of realism, and I mentioned TV, because the ideals where most people get, and the whole basis of idealism for most people, a TV fire is where them sit on the television screen. So most people, them get stuck in the world there, and then now, in a modern day, the last 10 years or so, you have social media where combined with the TV, and the two of them things that now become so disastrous. We know say platforms where share information and can make you know things, but as they mentioned, the reason in offline too, said as some more information comes, so some more misinformation come at the same time, and people will gravitate to misinformation, thinking it's information. So I guess so most of the idealism come from where there's movie scripts, things where people have envisioned in their mind based off ideas and concepts, so them have in their mind where them say them are gonna bring to life in a movie script. And then because your favorite actress or your favorite actor did play the role there, now you start cling on to that, not overstanding say your reality don't put you in a situation for accomplish that particular goal. Or we could even say in a this particular time then, because we don't want to say nobody can accomplish nothing. But within this time and this space that you are in, you neglect that, not overstanding say where you sit on the TV right there so now compared to your reality. There's so much different hurdles and so much different obstacles where you need to cross in order to get to that you know, give yourself some space or some little room for say, right, I'm gonna try. Since I just want to get to, because it's okay if I have an end goal, you know, right off the top, you know. It's okay if you know, all right, if you know, someone want to be a billionaire, as they say, someone want to be a billionaire. It's okay if you just say that, you know, because most, when we overstand with most like business consultants and all these business intelligence consultants, them start at the end goal and work them way backwards in terms of on paper. So once I the end goal for me, say bam, say you want to be a billionaire. Scale it back. What's my reality? So you're gone straight to the idealistic state. I want to be a billionaire. Now, what's my reality? My reality is that I am drowning in bills currently. I am drowning in bills. I have so much different things. You have child support. You have all of these different things where weigh down on your shoulder. You have so much different things where take place. You can't pay the rent on time. Sometimes you have to go overboard on a credit card because food not run. So how do I become a billionaire again? Remember, I say reality is put into check now, you know. That no means say the idealistic state where you did try go to of being a billionaire is no longer possible, you know. It just means say you need to have a plan where you can weave your way through and don't try shortchange your own, your own abilities by getting caught up in that ideal of being a billionaire, because then you're going to neglect every single thing in a realistic state, and it's going to cause you more problem in the reality phase. And them thing that people now overstand is not like say, you want to come with a negative persona, you know. There's no negative persona where I want to show at you. I want to try to show you, say, there's obstacles and there's hurdles to climb. How do you climb those hurdles? Those hurdles, no longer the thought and the idea will come out of your mind from the get-go for say you want to be a billionaire can no longer help you in this reality, you know. You have to dig deeper and find more things for add on, more layers to add on top of that if you really want to get to the idealistic state then. And that we are trying to show people.
No, big time, man. I think that people need to be realistic with their goals, right? But also, all right, not even that. Listen, we're going to stick with the billionaire vibe, right? Just use that as an example. People that have that in their mind, right? I see you probably go to somebody's house that they picture up with some billionaire or something going on. But the first thing would be like, how do I get out of these like, I guess you would have to ask yourself some questions, right? Like, how do I get out of debt? How do I acquire skills that help me generate more money? Shouldn't I learn about money? You know, but that would tie, like, that's what we mean with the realism in regards to, like, what are realistic steps I can take to actually achieving this goal? And as a culture, I will say this too, as a culture, what I've learned, I said this before, I say it again. Because information is so segregated, right? I know when people talk about, I'm not a date man, you know that, but when they had the civil rights thing back then with the desegregation, that was like a more economic thing in regards to just giving white people a bunch of money they didn't have access to. One of the big problems with the segregation, which still exists today, is the segregation of information. That is the most segregated aspect and the most dangerous aspect in our society. So the reason I bring that up is because within our culture, because unfortunately, it's a lot of laborers, day laborers, you know, it is what it is. When someone does get in a position, they remove themselves from the ground, you know, they go live somewhere else. So you're not getting that access. So people clearly don't understand the process that's needed to achieve stuff. So the lack of knowledge for the process mixed with the God vibe there is a recipe for disaster. Yeah. Because you think that, and Hollywood played a tremendous role in this, especially Disney movies, right? People really believe it's a pattern, fire. It's a formula that's burnt in their brain from childhood in regards to there's an issue, there's a conflict, right? Everything goes good. There's another conflict and it ends good. When that's not how stuff goes. You know what I'm saying? So they believe, like, you know, I open this restaurant and I'm gonna be on Food Network next week. And it's like, bro, they don't go into the approach understanding, one, anything that you do is gonna be difficult. I think that's the first thing everyone needs to understand, bro. Anything that you do is hard, especially if it's something like worthwhile. It is, or has any type of reward to it, is extremely difficult. There is anything easy in life is for the birds. Everybody could do it. No. Anything that has value to it is extremely difficult and hard. First one, right? You can't expect outcomes for stuff you don't have the skill set for to maintain or do. A person may open a store, right, and they mad about, what are you going to do with all these customers? You don't even have no link to get consistent products. You don't even have enough workers. You get what I'm saying, Far Right? This is a realistic, this is just like realistic approach. But on the flip side now, if you grew up around it, you will understand and say, yo, boom, this is where I'm at, right? And for whatever reason, this is where I'm at. How do I get to the next level? I got to really build up myself. And that's the part we don't understand as the culture, to build up. But like, I remember in sports, it's just like, why aren't you in the league? And like, why would I be in the league, bro? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not good enough. I don't have the skill set to be in the league. And it's just this extreme. It's an ignorance. It's a desperation, right? And it's just, everything has to be the extreme. You sing on a talent contest in 2006, right? It's 2008. They pressure you about why you're not on Hot 97 Jam or something. So where did you get this idea? It's so burnt into the culture, this catapulting to the top. What am I catapulting to the top for when I don't, when I get there, what am I going to do? Even if I do get there, I'm not going to be there for long. We don't understand skill set. One last thing, Far Right. It was in the culture where you had like, the proper term's not a mentor, but what's the vibe where you like work under somebody for a while back in the day then?
Protege or apprentice.
All right. They understood the process. You got to link up with someone that knows the craft and work under that person for a duration of time till that person give you the okay to say, yo, you know what you're doing. And we don't have that. We don't have it. Then you have people who never done, listen, if you're a progressive, listen to what I'm saying, yeah, and it sound away, but listen. If you're a progressive person, you got to remove yourself. Listen what I'm saying. I don't care, friend, family, mother, uncle, brother, father. You have to remove yourself from people who have not done stuff, bro. Because they're going to fill your mind with all type of foolishness, and they're going to put you on this time frame and go stress you out and all this because they themselves have not done anything. And I don't know where they get their time frame from, bro. But that young way shorter than what it takes, I tell you that much. So if you're a progressive person, yo, just don't feel no way about nobody. You really need to remove yourself. If you could find somebody that's been doing stuff, latch onto them, but just kind of remove yourself, because all they're gonna do is stress you out, criticize you, and just kind of it's kind of sad because you're trying to grow in your craft and work, and they kind of put it down like you're almost losing in a sense. How are you losing when you're working every day trying to build your craft? So how are you losing when you're literally working at something every day because you're not in a time frame? Once you start something, it has to be this grand big thing in our culture, and if it's not, oh, God forbid if it doesn't work out. Oh no, don't let it don't let it not work out. Don't let it not work out because I told you don't do it. Or God don't want you to do it or something else. Why can't it be like him, bro? Like, why can't it just be like it didn't work out? All right. And like I've learned, I'm thankful for this whole experience because I've learned a lot and I'll apply it to the next thing.
I know that my biggest problem with with most idealists, like people who latch on the idealistic side of things, is like failures just not happen. I feel as like I'm not striving for something the first time around. It's like it's just negative. It's just negative, and it's just like the world both end or something like that. That's my problem with people who latch on the idealistic side of things more and not overstand. Say reality is just reality for life. Things happen. Today we have $5,000 or we have $10,000, and tomorrow your roof just need for repair and it happen for cost $11,000. No, you know $1,000
gone.
So gone. And that is just the reality of life. It doesn't mean say you never did prepare yourself well, or you never did do cover all of the, you never did check off all of the boxes them where you're supposed to check off. It's just life. Life happen. And we can't make it look like so, oh, every single thing after does pretty, and every single thing after does spotless, and if it don't spotless, then it means that there's a flaw in it or something, or is not the concept of we that wish for. No, it's just life. Like enough people don't understand say life is life, like fire. If you want to do something, just make sure say you can put yourself in the right position. And that's how we'll even come back to the whole concept of reality and idealism again, because as the example what I use, but removing yourself from anybody at all who not know how to do certain things, or who no want to see a strive while I do certain things, or who can't even know our practical side of it to even help you. Remember, you know, you shape your own reality. And them thing the way I try to show people again, say you shape your own reality, because if you shape most people, I'm say, I shape them reality by being around strictly idealists. So idealists who would just say, all right, these them things that we really want to happen, but them not have no application for make things really, really happen. And I guess I know it start confuse people's brain and make people not really see the fullness of what's supposed to take place.
All right, look, here's another aspect to it with the idealism, right? We have those who don't know. No disrespect to them. Some of them mean good, some of them don't mean. But the problem is they don't know, and they're putting pressure on you. A lot of times they put their fears on you too. I think that's the source of a lot of things. The insecurities they have, the fears that they have. Because like I don't really talk to people like that, because I noticed that if I tell somebody I'm gonna do something, far they more scared than me, and I'm the one doing. You get it? This don't have nothing. They have nothing to do with this. They ain't putting up no bread. They're not doing nothing. But it just makes them so uneasy seeing someone strive for something that seems so far. It just makes them so terrified, right? Pretty wild. Pay attention to that. There's a next aspect too. You may have the side, you got to watch out for the praise too, right? The praise can stunt your growth, especially if you're around people who haven't been around any form of success. The most basic form of success, if they're not hating, right? They give you a lot of praise, and that'll mess you up in a sense too, because you think you're doing these great things when you're not really doing anything. I've been thinking about something for, I don't know if I spoke to you about this, but I was talking to my wife. Me and my wife was having a reasoning, and I wasn't reading the Bible. I was reading a book by Manly P. Hall breaking down the Bible, right? And he was saying something else about the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, saying how it wasn't. The whole point was, right, when I was reading that, I started thinking about myself in regards to like, yo, what could be a message of Jesus? Because I remember this, right? And when I say Jesus, whether you think Jesus existed or not. Don't get all biblical on me and turn off. Listen to what I'm saying. The idea of Jesus, this brethren was always wandering off. He never stayed in a place specifically when he started getting attention. Now, it would only make sense that the people already knew about the whatever gifts he was doing or whatever skill set he had. But it seemed like he was leaving praise. And I got to read the story again, Farai. But it seems that they were trying to get the message across. There's something about praise that's toxic to man now. Now, you need a level of validation as a healthy human being. But validation and praise are two different things. And the reason we're talking about, I've seen it destroy people, especially if you're from certain environments where it's nothing really going on. And you do the most you can do the most basic thing and you're a celebrity. And that distorts your whole mind because you feel you're something that you're not. And you have so much work to do to improve on your craft, to improve on your skill set, and it stunts you. Because the expectation is so low in that environment. When you do something so basic, you're put up on the pedestal as a king. And that's also a very destructive aspect. So I want to bring it up. It's like an artist in a sense, right? Or sports. Let me use sports. When I was growing up, you had your park player who was like, he wasn't refined. You know what I'm saying? He ain't really play like structured basketball. But then now, at the park, in this area, he did his thing. But if you put him in a different environment, he get exposed. But in this area, he was like a king being praised. So in his heart now, he felt that he was on the heights, but in reality, he really wasn't. And this is a universal thing that happens when you're from an environment that's so beat down and there's no growth in there. You know, you see it with, I'm ashamed to say this. When I graduated 8th grade, they had people there with limos, bro. And this is 8th grade. This is 13, 14-year-olds. But the environment I was in, I guess it was so rare. Not even rare, but I don't know. I guess like because you most likely want to graduate high school, it's just, I don't think it's something that should be praised. I don't feel like that. I don't think it should be a big thing because you graduated 8th grade, you know. But these environments where there's not much hope, life, any type of spark, if they're not hating on it, right? You have some people that just propel it to a God-like figure, and that's destructive to the person because they themselves now believe they're something or they achieve something that they really haven't. You know, you go to go ahead. Sorry, Mark.
No, man, finish what you said. Finish.
Now, I was saying you see it a lot of times with college students, right? Especially, you have different type of college students. Not saying, I want to be clear, I'm not saying if a person's from a certain family, they won't celebrate it. But it's a different type of celebration for college, depending on where you are. Because the parent that knows already say, oh, all right, it's the paper. It can get your foot in the door, but this is no guarantee for no great life, and it's not setting you up like that. Or a next person where the parents haven't been to college, or they're in an environment where they're only one from college, they figure this person straight to being a millionaire. Now, understanding their first job, they're going to make 40, 50 grand with their student loan. Because they don't know. They generally don't know. And that's why the mentor is so important. And you have to be responsible to search out a mentor. You can't sit there and be idle and say, well, there's nobody around. You yourself, if you're really about progress, you need to find someone, and you'll be shocked because you'll find them, because people love sharing information out. And people are so scared to ask for help. A lot of people who are very, I don't want to use the word successful, but very versed in their craft and very knowledgeable in their skill set, they'll share the information. Across races too. Yo, successful people different, Farai. It's the I don't want to say not successful. It's the people that's kind of insecure, that's hype, but people that's really like really great at their craft, Farai, they're not threatened by you. They don't see it as a point like, oh, if I share you this information, they know already they thing locked. They are master their craft, so they don't care sharing the information. It's the other people that's flaky, that's not sure. They don't know. So that's why they just got to be out with the rah-rah and all that, because they know they kind of faking it. But everyone, remember, Farai, I've interviewed a lot of great people, Farai. And the ones that are really not famous, I want to be clear. We can't mix fame with mastering your craft because it's two different things. But the people, I don't want to say their names on here too because I won't offend nobody. I won't offend nobody. Farai, I'll say this, you was with me with one of them, right? You know what I'm talking about. All right. That man, a master of his craft, huh?
Yes.
Bona fide.
Big time.
All right, you know the vibe. And I know you met other people who are masters of their craft. But I ain't talking about famous. I'm talking about people who are masters of their craft. Fire, they irie. Nothing to prove what they proving for. The track record is there. From a man on the track record, listen. Well, I was the other day. The guy who I interviewed the other day, yo. I'm gonna say this one, yo. Styles P, one of the Irish brethren I've ever met in regards to entertainers, yo. I will say that. I will say that publicly. Styles P, one of the most humble people I have met for an entertainer. Styles P, a bona fide legend, yo. Any man make a rap list, top 30, top 20, Styles P in the mix. And can't nobody deny that. Then he legendary with the locks. Then he legendary on the entrepreneurship, and the man just easy and humble because he already did it, Far. He don't need to hype up himself, yeah. But then I go meet the next man and saw this excitement and all this confusion, yeah.
They say come back. You see, it come forward to the whole idealism and realism concept fully again because check levels now. You see, most people were great at them craft and them ear upon the realistic side of things. Them overstand say sharing information is part of reality. But then you see most people now who they might have some financial success or fame or whatever it is where might mean something towards them. But them ear upon the idealistic side of things, them say anybody else having that information as there is a competition. But what competition does to feed them fantasy is that it cut them fantasy. So you see, because competition cut them fantasy, now the sharing or the passing of information get blocked. So now this now them come out of reality and realize say if you don't share the information, then things won't flow your way in order for you really strive and become even more successful upon the success where you already have or the particular fame or the money where you already have. So this now you see it come forward to the whole concept of idealism and reality again, because enough people now understand say life is a different type of thing in a fire. Like there's so much different aspects to life. Like if we will look into ourselves even for a second, we'd stop and realize say, yo, you know, say, well, all of we have story for sure, see? And based upon the stories them we have to share. I'm sure knows a lot of people, them have good stories, them have bad stories. Everybody as a matter of fact. Every single body, every human being have to have good stories and bad stories. Why do we have good and bad stories? If reality never entail good and entail bad. So that me I try to show people say if reality entail good and bad, then we can't make it look like say now say if something don't work out for your one, then that simply means at the end of the road that just means say is reality really a take its course and a take its place, take it natural place where it's supposed to take, but it's you now to come with an idea, which that this is the idea again come in. You now must come in with that idea. We can build on that now to ensure say the thing really farm out how it's supposed to farm out. And at that people me feel like the key thing when enough and the key ingredient when enough people now really overstand. That is the place for idealism, you know. That's the ultimate place for idealism, you know. When you talk about reality, feel it, whatever you want to say feel, reality not working according to how you would expect it for work. Now you come with the idea to put on top of that so you can strive and go forward.
All right, this is the last one. I think I want to say from life experience, right? You see, I got left. You see when you talk about how we expect things to work out, yo. You know we're not dealing with reality a lot of time, right? We're not accurately analyzing the situation and the skill set versus the outcome. Not saying things can't work out better than you expected it sometimes, but sometimes me being truthful in my own life, right? My ability versus the outcome I wanted didn't correlate at the time, Far. In retrospect, in a lot of instances, my capabilities, right? my ability to do the thing that I wanted, or the information to execute a certain plan, or the skill set, or the support, or the team, or the resources did not correlate with the outcome. The outcome was idealistic, and the outcome was almost like a dream. The outcome was almost like a miracle in a being truthful, you know? The outcome I wanted was almost like a miracle in a sense. And not saying unexpected things can't happen, but I noticed unexpected things happen within the realm of what you can do, if that makes sense, or in the realm of your skill set, right? So for instance, now, if I just started reading Spanish, right? I'll do this. See, I just started reading Spanish. I have to go read a Spanish text in front of a group, but I'm only capable of level one, right? I haven't exceeded level one. That is what I can personally do. Maybe I can fight with 2, but it's unrealistic to think that I can read at level 10 in front of people. And that's what we do a lot of times. We feel this miracle is going to happen, right? And I use the word miracle because that's a term that we are familiar with. But we believe that something that's going to happen that way exceeds our capabilities. And I think a lot of that comes from, as you mentioned before, the TV, the movies, the video games for a lot of people, because that's the video games have the story and all this magical stuff and all this. And like, I just think that we need to have more, and I read about this too, man, like the power of realistic goals. And realistic goals is not necessarily short-changing yourself. You can push yourself, but a lot of times we're pushing ourselves over the cliff, and we need to keep our feet at the edge of the cliff. You get what I'm saying? Because you push yourself over the cliff, it's over. So it's like, yeah, you want to push yourself, you know? I remember working out, man, like, well, when I was younger, like in a team, it was always like adding 5 pounds a week, like adding more weight to particular exercises. Wasn't no man telling you go add no 25 plate to that next week or no 45 plate, because he know as a man that's a expert in training, that's not gonna happen. You're gonna rip something, you're gonna break something. Maybe you can lift it once, but you can't sustain that to build up yourself. But a consistent goal, if you could add 5 more pounds to what you're doing, or 10 more pounds. Because remember, if you're lifting 150, after 5 weeks, you'll be at 175. But in our society now, like with this, I lost 30. The thing is screwed up, bro. Because so many people lying and so deceptive. We lost the track of just progress. Even the plant's deceptive with the fertilizer now. Everything growing so quick and out of whack and forced ripe. You know, it's like we got to kind of tune in back to the natural order of things. But I think that's
genetically modified mindset that come on. And that are really the idealistic things still. Yeah. Things just flourish in 3 weeks, things just flourish in 4 weeks, and that's where people expect to be. And before me I say back something to come, remember the thought, what you thought, come I never finish. I mean, I say, enough people, not even the outcome, can remember there I say, even that they talk about the outcome, but even the outcome itself in a fire, enough people like me really want to emphasize, you can fully prepared. It can be within the realms of your skill set. It can be, you can do every single thing. You can train your whole life for this. It doesn't matter for you. How much man train him whole life for run sub 10. And him say no, him can run a sub 10 in a race and all of these things. But the day of the race come, him train prepared, but him just injured on the day of the race. And it's just a reality that when enough people know about, there are certain things where you just can't control within the realms of reality. Within the realms of reality. And that does not mean say life done, as they say. You can't just go over the cliff. So like it don't mean say life done. I don't mean say life unfair to you. That is just life. It's not a matter of unfair. And then the part now where they say, we want certain things to happen. Remember, say, everybody have a concept or have a concept of how they want the thing to happen to, you know. And even if you have the right mindset of how you want the thing to happen, it still not must happen the way, then no matter what. Because the way how you want it to happen is not the way our life want it to happen. And at that, I feel like we start misconstrue. Enough people now over say the thing really bigger than we, and then and to me, I feel like that's the reason why most people get caught up in idealism still, because they don't understand why things in a reality don't work, and even if them prepare for it, certain things still don't work, and them not really prepared for have the longevity there, I really know how for bounce back from certain type of situations. So them tend to swing on the idealistic side and say, all right, maybe if me pray to God, then this can work. Then, or if me channel my energy for say, me I go sit down and do a fast or something of them particular things you got. So that could even be one of the reasons then. But me is not the pure idealist, or me is not the person who really dwell upon the idealistic side of things for even get the answer to that. So maybe somebody who will listen to the reasoning and have the mindset that to a certain extent can even help with to clarify why people swing towards the idealistic side of things so much. Because I feel like I them think that people feel reasonable as opposed to kind of get offended to the reasoning per se. The reasoning like them is things where people feel build up and a show back a perspective and add to the thing and make you know it's alright at them so the thing are flow, but that I make a point still, I'm a cut it.
No, we're good for right. And I have to go cut and get this girl her food because she look like she about to clap me, tell you the truth, fam. Listen, I wanted to say, you mentioned in regards to, I had to write down, remember, the quick process, right, the force, right. But remember, these things are in a quality to them. You get what I'm saying? Everybody's in a rush to do everything, but you're in a rush to do what? And we have to redefine success, because you made a great point. You said a bridge, which is true, and I think that's a great example to use. You're literally prepared 4 years to run for 10 seconds, right? While running leg pops before, groin, ankle, whatever. You know, this is a society, though, because there's a brethren, Chris Hedges, that writes about this, one American brethren, and he speaks about this. The person was successful because the goal was to prepare for the race. Because that's the only thing you have control over. You have no, listen, that's the next thing too. We need to do another reason about that. But, the man really, he generally doesn't have, you may wish, you may feel deserving, you may feel entitled because you work hard, but you generally don't have control over the outcome. Business, every aspect of your life. You may have done everything, it just don't work out. Why can't we just take that? Why does that have to be all this divine intervention and all that? Why is this like, the thing didn't work out, bro? That's the reality for you behind. It didn't work out. What's next? Why gotta be all like end of the world? And I don't, that's the thing. We need to redefine success. And I think success should be, all right, what do you have control of to a certain extent? That's the next reason in regards to control. But as we said before, the energy you put in the sun, right? I'm preparing for this race. Have I prepared myself the best I can? Yes. I think that's a great success. And what happens too now, a lot of people with this loser vibe, you have people who are unique individuals, or they get through for whatever reason, and they're setting a standard, trying to like chastise everyone as if they're like some loser, and like because they got through. Rappers do it all the time, far right. Rap music is kind of wild too. It's an abusive relationship when you listen to rap music. They're very a lot of criticism, and they put you down because you don't have certain things. They lucked out, and they got through whatever, right? I can't even say luck, because a lot of times it's more of a detriment than a benefit to them when we really analyze the situation. But it's like you have these people that get through with certain things, and they're trying to use that as that's the standard. But how is that the standard? Because you only have about, I don't know how much people we have in America right now, right? Well, we got 360 million, 380 million. You got five.
We're there.
And you have 5 people doing it. So obviously this is a unique feat. This is not a normal thing. So I don't think they should be setting the standard of what we should be doing. That's how I look at it in a sense, You get what I'm saying? Like, you have like whatever person doing this, and I break it down. I say, all right, then this much people doing it. Or even black people. It's 36, 37 million black people, right? You have LeBron, some rappers. That's like 10, 20 people. So I don't know if I should really be aspiring to that far, right?
Well, I'm really check it for you. The reason, telling the truth, as I say, there's something reasonable every day. The reason I could have got on and on because I feel like as a human being, you need to come in touch with the reality and then see how far gone are you into idealism, in order for really find your road where you need to take towards whatever success means to you. I love the fact say there every time they mention success, they mention one keyword where I think everybody's supposed to understand and realize that correlate to success goals. So again, enough people feel like the fame is a reward for success or money is a reward for success. Some people genuinely not aspire for get no money or aspire for get no fame. Success for them gonna means if help 100 youth a year and them I help 100 youth a year, and that to them is success because that was the goal. So I really love the fact that they emphasize that. And then the question I'm gonna really want to ask to anybody who truly listen the reasoning and not just hear the reasoning for the comment, may I say, what is your concept or your take in the whole reasoning of idealism versus realism? What you feel about idealism versus realism? Do you have any particular application where you use to stay in tune with reality? Or is there any application from the concept of idealism where you use to strive in your personal life? Then the question I would like to put towards people and see the feed forward the people would I give the idea, you know?
No, big time. And I'm glad you gave the question because we should encourage people more to what would you call like introspective in regards to reflecting on life, There's too much time spent on other people, yeah. You spend too much time analyzing other people. Take back some of that time. Excuse me. Really delve into yourself and contemplate life, your environment, yourself. What are you doing? You know, I'm not telling anyone to beat themselves because then you have a vibe where people, when they go into themselves, all they do is beat themselves up. I'm not saying that, right? I'm saying to like really reflect on life. What are you doing? What can you do? Why do you react to certain things? Why do you feel a certain way about this stuff? You know, what can you do better? What are you doing good? Because a lot of these conversations are about what can you do better, but you have to acknowledge and give yourself a pat on the back for what you do good. And as far as I said, as you move away and kind of get a clearer understanding of life, your goals don't align with money. And I want to be clear, we need money. I'm not anti-money. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in regards to the goal is like, your goal, this is the thing. Unfortunately, a lot of our goals are things that would get public praise. And I think that stunts you tremendously because the things you probably want to do or should be doing, nobody probably would see it. They probably won't even know about it. You know, but these are the things that this is where your talent lies. You know, your goal may just be to be a good parent. Your goal may be just to be a good spouse or just a good bridger to people or whatever you do. And the craft that you do, you know, hopefully, you know, you can make a living. Yeah, you're not going to be on no TV or nothing, but you can find glory in the fact that you do that excellent. I think the whole Hollywood and celebrity thing and attention thing messed up everything. And people don't people don't identify them as a success until they're being praised by the public. And that's the toxic part and the dangerous part about the whole thing.
Not overstanding, so the public only have an interpretation of the famous people, and because it was taught to them, it was advertised to them, it was pushed to them, and all of these big record labels, all of these big film companies, all of them owned by the same set of people who tell you you're supposed to praise as being successful. So that's but as a next reason still.
And last thing I want to say, we're really, I get this young lady set up right. When I say young lady, my daughter, anyone listening. The last thing I want to say, bouncing off what you said, Farai, and I'm gonna write it down so we have to check it. In our system, genius or greatness is only identified by what you can earn. So, Farai, say you drew this picture here, right? And the next man drew a next lion, but for whatever reason, the other lion was more marketable. His genius would be acknowledged more than yours, not on the fact of the picture, but on their ability to profit from the picture. Keep that in mind, Farai. So don't tie your greatness to this capitalistic thing, because if they cannot profit from what you're doing, people won't really acknowledge your success, or the system won't acknowledge your success. Now, I'm not telling you to be no idealist and say, all right, well, they just fighting against me and this and that, you know? But if you're very skillful at something, find glory in it. And if you know, you're not getting popular praise you think, that doesn't take away from the fact, because there's so many factors that goes into it. And truth be told, as a human being and as a vessel, it may be the best thing that you're not getting it, because it may take you to a different place that's not beneficial for you. You know, because a lot of times these little areas that we have to go off for stuff is not long term, is not beneficial to you. And history has told us that over and over again. We ignore it. I don't know. We ignore all these stories and all this drama we see, and we ignore it, but we somehow still want it. It's a weird situation for us. But that's the next reason still. We give thanks for everyone listening. Hopefully you learn something. Hopefully you take time to look into yourself, you know. And as I said, look at life and all this harshness and bitterness, and see the joy and glory on it. But also, you can't be in fantasy land about stuff. Right? Everything's not bad and everything's not good. We have good and bad. And you need to acknowledge both aspects of it in a healthy manner. I think some people, oh, life is just terrible. Then you got the other ones that's in totally denial, like, bro, there's nothing wrong. Like this, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, that's unhealthy also, you know? And like, you gotta have, I just say, last thing I want to say for the goal vibe, bro, don't just get no random goal way out there. Like, you know, if I'll use weight loss as an instance, right? If your goal is to get in shape, why don't we just start by, how can I lose 1 pound? Let's start with that. Let's just, like, how the heck can I, or put losing weight to the side. How can I create a system that I can start doing the things? Put that to the side too. I'm telling you the wrong thing. What are the things that I need to do to lose weight, and how can I create a system to consistently do those things? And build myself up that I'm doing those things consistently. I'm sleeping, I'm moving, I'm not eating certain things, right? So it's kind of education, application, like Farai said, and that consistency. I don't think the focus should be on losing 100 pounds, creating a system that would lead to you losing some weight, and do that consistently till you start losing weight and build up yourself, learn more, get more confidence, and build from there. I think that'd be a more realistic approach, you know? And what's sad is that segregation, again, if you grew up in a certain environment, someone would have broke this down to you. But if you're in an environment where no one has basic information, or they don't want to share it, you find yourself in a bind. You know, so we give thanks for everyone tuning in. Make sure you check out Full Reason for the One, Bounty Killer, Styles P, Full Reason, and the NFL Brazier, Jeremiah Owusu, I reason the same way.